In the year 79 AD, the world witnessed one of history's most devastating natural disasters, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. In the span of just 2 days, entire cities were erased from existence. Pompeii, Herculaneum, and neighboring towns were buried beneath a suffocating blanket of ash and fire, their people frozen in their final moments of life. What makes this tragedy so haunting is not only the scale of destruction but the way it preserved a civilization in its death. Nearly 2,000 years later, the silence of Pompeii speaks louder than words, offering us an eerie glimpse into a thriving society cut short in an instant. The eruption of Vesuvius was not just a Roman tragedy, it was a turning point in human history, shaping our understanding of nature, mortality, and the fragility of civilization itself. This is the story of how one eruption changed humanity forever. It began like any other summer day in the bustling Roman towns at the foot of Mount Vesuvius. The markets of Pompeii were crowded, villas rang with laughter, and ships moved through the Bay of Naples. But beneath the surface, Vesuvius was preparing to unleash fury unlike anything the ancient world had seen. Just after noon on August 24, 79 AD, the mountain exploded with a deafening roar, sending a towering column of ash, pumice, and fire miles into the sky. Witnesses described it as resembling a pine tree, narrow at the base and spreading wide at the top. For hours, ash rained down, collapsing roofs and blanketing streets in choking darkness. People scrambled to escape, but the eruption was relentless. By nightfall, pyroclastic surges, scorching clouds of gas and rock, rushed down the slopes at unimaginable speed, incinerating everything in their path. Entire families were trapped, some crushed under rubble, others overtaken mid-flight. Pliny the Younger, who watched from across the bay, recorded the horror, the earth shaking, the sea retreating, and the sky consumed by fire. By the next morning, Pompeii, Herculaneum, and nearby towns no longer existed as living cities. They had become tombs, sealed under meters of volcanic wrath, their fate preserved for eternity. When the ash settled and the fires dimmed, the once vibrant cities at the foot of Vesuvius were gone. Pompeii, Herculaneum, Stabii, places filled with life, commerce, and culture, had vanished under a suffocating layer of volcanic debris. Yet in this destruction, something extraordinary occurred, an accidental preservation of history. Unlike most ancient sites that were rebuilt, plundered, or eroded over time, these towns were sealed in a volcanic grave, untouched for centuries. In Pompeii, streets lined with bakeries, taverns, and villas remained intact beneath the ash. Frescoes still adorned the walls, mosaics still glittered on the floors, and even loaves of bread, carbonized in ovens, survived the passage of time. Graffiti scrawled on walls revealed the humor, politics, and passions of ordinary Romans. In Herculaneum, the intense heat carbonized wooden beams, furniture, and scrolls from private libraries, remnants rare in the ancient world. Even the victims themselves, their final moments captured in haunting detail, were later revealed through plaster casts, giving faces to history's silent tragedy. What emerged from these ruins was more than archaeology, it was a time capsule of Roman life, offering humanity an unparalleled window into a world that would otherwise have been lost forever. Amid the tragedy of Vesuvius, something remarkable also emerged, the birth of volcanology as a science. Our primary witness to the eruption was Pliny the Younger, who observed the unfolding catastrophe from across the Bay of Naples. In a series of letters written decades later to the historian Tacitus, Pliny described the terrifying sights with striking precision. The sky darkened as though night had fallen, ash blanketing the land, and people torn between fleeing or praying for deliverance. His accounts were so detailed that modern scientists still rely on them today. In fact, eruptions of this magnitude are now called Plinian eruptions in his honor. But the scientific legacy didn't end with Pliny. When the buried cities were rediscovered in the 18th century, they became laboratories for archaeology and geology. Excavations revealed not just artifacts but also insights into volcanic processes and their deadly effects on human populations. Techniques like casting voids in the ash with plaster to recreate the forms of victims were groundbreaking for forensic archaeology. Thus, from unimaginable loss arose invaluable knowledge. The eruption forced humanity to confront the destructive power of nature while also sparking curiosity that laid foundations for modern volcanology and archaeological science. The eruption of Vesuvius was not just a localized disaster, it was a blow to the heart of the Roman Empire. The Bay of Naples region was among the most prosperous in Italy, a hub of agriculture, trade, and leisure. Its fertile volcanic soil produced abundant crops, vineyards, and olive groves, while its coastal towns thrived on commerce with ships sailing in from across the Mediterranean. Wealthy Romans built luxurious villas there, treating it as both a retreat and a symbol of their status. In one violent eruption, much of this wealth was obliterated. The destruction of entire communities meant the loss of thousands of lives, along with estates, farms, and workshops that fed into Rome's economy. Important trade routes were disrupted, and elite families, many of whom wielded political influence, were financially ruined. Beyond material losses, the psychological impact was immense. To Romans, such devastation was seen as the wrath of the gods, a reminder of humanity's fragility in the face of divine or natural forces. Although the empire itself endured, the disaster left scars, social, economic, and spiritual. The eruption reshaped how Romans viewed nature's power, embedding a deeper sense of vulnerability into the fabric of their society. The legacy of Vesuvius extends far beyond the Roman world. Over the centuries, the buried cities became a powerful symbol of both tragedy and preservation. When excavations began in the 18th century, the discoveries captivated Europe, fueling the Enlightenment's hunger for knowledge and shaping modern archaeology. Suddenly, scholars and artists had a direct window into ancient life, not through myth or ruins, but through streets, paintings, and even the bodies of the people themselves. This vivid connection to the past inspired literature, philosophy, and art across the world. Pompeii became a metaphor for the suddenness of death, a haunting reminder that entire civilizations can vanish in an instant. The phrase "memento mori," remember that you must die, took on renewed power as the plaster casts of victims stared back at us from antiquity. Writers like Edward Bulwer-Lytton dramatized the eruption, while painters and filmmakers transformed it into timeless stories of human hubris and fragility. Even today, Pompeii and Herculaneum attract millions, not just as archaeological treasures but as moral lessons about the unpredictability of nature. The 79 AD eruption continues to shape how we think about mortality, history, and the thin line between human achievement and inevitable destruction. The eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD was more than a natural disaster, it was a moment that changed humanity forever. It preserved a civilization in death, gave birth to volcanology, reshaped the Roman world, and left us with haunting reminders of life's fragility. Nearly 2,000 years later, Pompeii and Herculaneum still speak to us, warning and inspiring in equal measure. If you found this journey through history fascinating, don't forget to like this video, share it with others who love history, and subscribe to our channel for more stories that bring the past vividly to life.